Again, happy Tuesday. Just quick reminders, this training will be recorded and sent to all of the contracting entities that we have, and then they will be able to provide this training to you. If you aren't able to participate today, please make sure that you go through this training and ensure that you also sign a login sheet stating that you viewed this training and the date that you took the training as well. I'm going to share my screen. So today's annual training is the Program Year 25 FMNP New Farmer and Farmer Market Association training, and it is by the Texas Department of Agriculture. I am Christina Rodriguez, and I'm the Lead Administrative Review Specialist, and my other teammate is Michelle Mitchell, and she will also be providing training the second half of this PowerPoint. These are our contact information. So before we begin with the training, you understand that the training you are about to receive does not cover the entire scope of the program. You are responsible for knowing and understanding all the handbooks, manuals, alerts, notices, and guidance, as well as any other forms of communication that provide further guidance, clarification, or instruction on operating the program. We will be providing you time to ask questions at the end of this PowerPoint as well. And then if you have any questions throughout this training, take notes, or you can also provide those in the chat of this Teams chat. We'll be going over agreements, FMNP program operations, voucher issuance, voucher redemption, training and monitoring, and other. So the purpose of the FMNP, it is to increase participants' consumption of nutritious foods such as fresh fruits and vegetables. It is also to provide opportunities for farmers such as you all to sell your produce locally to your service areas and expand awareness and use of farmers markets to your communities. This is a quick overview of the FMNP before we start going into more detail. So the FMNP is the Senior and WIC Farmers Market Nutrition Programs in Texas. So we have both of these federal programs here. For the WIC FMNP, it is for WIC participants who receive FMNP vouchers and sheets in addition to their regular WIC benefits. These vouchers can be used to buy approved or eligible foods from Texas approved farmers, farmers markets, or roadside stands. Currently, we have 10 service areas and 9 participating contracting entities. And here is our map that could also be found in Square Meals. And then in Square Meals, you can download the map. And if you go through each of these contracting entities, you can click it and it will go into their website to find more information about these two programs, such as the eligibility, their market hours and locations, and again, other contact information. We currently have one available service area, which is the city of Abilene. They no longer are participating, so we're asking if anyone is interested in becoming the contracting entity to operate this program on the service area's behalf. Please contact us, let us know, put your email down in the chat, and then we can provide you more details on what the roles and responsibilities are. But currently, that's the only available service area we currently have for the FMNP. For the Senior Farmers Market Program, this program is specifically for low-income seniors age 60 and older who meet income guidelines. And again, they may participate in this program. Participants will sign up at participating farmers markets and receive vouchers and booklets. They have to go through an application process. That's the main difference between the WIC and the FMNP. Voucher sheets can be used to buy eligible produce, just like FMNP, from farmers markets and roadside stands. And for the senior program, we only have 4 service areas and 4 participating contracting entities, which we call CEs. You'll be hearing this term utilized throughout the presentation. The 4 CEs in the state of Texas are Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, and Wichita Falls. So again, on the map in square meals, you'll have a key that identifies who our SFMNP CEs are in the service areas, and then who the FMNP CEs are. So let's go to our first agenda topic, agreements. SFMNP agreements, the CE, FMA, and farmer, and to enter into the following agreements every 3 years. We're coming up with a new 3-year cycle, which runs from program year 25 through program year 2027. So some of your contracting entities are probably starting this process with you all. Don't be alarmed. Again, every 3 years, you guys will have to go through this process. So there's 2 different agreements that you all will have to sign. So if you're a farmers market association, then you will have to sign an agreement with your contracting entity. And depending on if you only operate the WIC FMNP, then this is the one you will sign with them and get that executed, which is WIC FMNP, FMNP 02 form. And then if you are also in a service area that operates the senior program, then you'll also have to complete the senior SFMNP agreement 03. And if you're a farmers market association and farmer, then you will have to complete this agreement, which we call the farmer profile. So if a FMA has, for example, 5 farmers, then the FMA must ensure that those 5 farmers complete the WIC FMNP, the FMNP 03 agreement. And then again, if you also have the senior program, you have to ensure that those 5 farmers complete the SFMNP 0 form agreement. So in total, let's say the contracting entity is Tarrant Area Food Bank. They have 1 FMA and they have 5 farmers. So we already know the Tarrant Area Food Bank has the WIC FMNP program and the senior. So that 1 FMA has to complete these 2 agreements. And then the FMA has to get those 5 farmers to complete the WIC FMNP farmer profile agreement. And then the 5 farmers must also complete the senior SFMNP 04 farmer profile. So there would be 10 agreements on this right-hand side, and then 1 agreement on the left-hand side. And then throughout the 3-year cycle, if at any point there is a new FMA or there's a new farmer, then that 3-year cycle agreement will be executed. So it doesn't start over at 2026 through 2028. It falls between the program year 25 through 27. And then really quick with these, just make sure to complete all of the line items in the agreements. Michelle and I, when we go out to do our administrative reviews or monitors, we are starting to see a lot of blank areas of the agreement. So some of the things we noticed are like FMA information, contact information isn't on the agreement, signatures, dates aren't on the agreements. So please make sure you go through every page, and if it's asking for initials or signatures, dates, make sure everything is completed. Failure to do that, then the agreement is not complete or valid, and it may impact your participation in the program, and then it may also impact payment for your redeemed vouchers. And now number 2, going into the actual SFMNP program operations. So authorizing farmers, markets, associations, farmers, and roadside stands. Mandatory, any CE, farmers markets, associations, roadside stands that are participating must be certified and trained by the Texas Department of Agriculture annually. That is why you are on this training today, just to go through the quick training. Every market must consist of 2 or more farmers selling most of their own produce. So if a CE has 1 market location, they can't just have 1 farmer selling produce. There has to be at least 2 or more. Farmers must sell eligible foods and meet merchantable quality, just like at grocery stores. Make sure things aren't rotting and they're not expired or bad. We want to sell produce that participants are able to purchase. and consume. And then we ask that 75% of your agriculture products that are sold at markets must be grown in Texas, or we also allow for neighboring states such as New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arkansas, or Louisiana. Produce that is sold from Mexico is not allowed for the FMNP redemption. And then also, for example, if you are selling produce from California, that is not a neighboring state. So that is not allowed to be sold and redeemed for these two programs. Annually, Texas Department of Agriculture also asks you guys to go through a farmers market certification application. At this time, all program year 24 farmers market certificates have expired on December 31st. So every year they expire on this date. And currently we are requesting, or the applications for PY25 are now open and being accepted. And then we will enter this link into the chat at the end of the presentation. So this year they are, the application may be found in a jot form type of format. And then once you guys complete the application, the application will be reviewed and an invoice will be emailed to whoever's completing it, so the CE or the Farmers Market Association. And then once that is processed, then an e-certificate will be emailed to you. And the TDA contact for this whole process is Casey Corley, and this is his contact information. So if you have any questions on this FM certification application, this is who you need to contact. And then farmers market posters and signage. There are two specific posters that must be prominently displayed during your market operations and hours at all times. And these two are your vendor posters and your And Justice for All posters. And this is what they look like. Your vendor poster, please make sure that every individual farmer has it posted on their at the market. And it's basically just displaying that the FMNP vouchers are accepted at that location. So there may be a market that's open to the public and to also the participants. And we just want to make sure that the participants know who they can redeem their vouchers to. So there may be maybe like 10 farmers selling produce, clothes, food, and of those 10, only 5 are participating in this program. But if you don't have this poster up, those participants will not know where to go. So we ask again that this Ask About Vouchers here is posted and they're able to see it. We ask that you don't post it on like the table itself because they won't be able to see. So we ask like if you display it, like if it's hanging or on the little tarp, just so that they can identify that you are selling eligible produce for them. So again, the poster must be visible to participants and should not be placed in hard to see areas. It shouldn't be hiding in areas like other posters that you may have. The vendor ID number also must be clearly displayed. So you see that this poster itself has a farmer's vendor area that you can enter your number. We ask that you enter it in this area here. CEs will provide these posters via a digital print this year. And then you also have this green And Justice for All poster. These will also be displayed in prominent areas during the FMNP market hours. And currently there have been no updates to this poster. So these are also getting printed by your contracting entity. So these two posters will be printed this year and given to you all. So if you don't have the Ask About Vouchers here poster, please communicate to your contracting entity to get that copy for you. And then again, just to show you where that number should be located and written. So each participating farmer's poster must include the vendor ID number, which will be provided by the CE or your FMA. So every farmer gets this number either by their contracting entity or their Farmers Market Association. TDA does not designate these numbers to you. So if you don't have your number or you don't remember your number, these are the individuals who you should ask for. Also, this number is tied to this voucher that we'll go into more detail in some later slides, but the vendor ID number should also be documented on each redeemed voucher. So these are the two locations that your number should go to. So it's very important that you identify what that number is. You may also use a stamp. Some farmers have created a stamp of the number. So instead of writing out that number, they just stamp it. And it also records it on the redeem voucher. So pretty smart and effective and efficient way to get that number down on the actual vouchers. In these two programs, we have eligible foods and non-eligible foods. And this is the list of any produce that you may sell for redemption of the vouchers. So you may sell apples, you may sell eggplants, lemons, okra, pumpkins, watermelons, etc. One item that is not eligible that you will see that is eligible for the senior program is honey. So honey you cannot sell for the WIC program, and you can't get vouchers redeemed for that. So this is your WIC uneligible or disallowed foods that you cannot get vouchers redeemed for. So here's honey, cheese, cider, nuts, seeds, wild rice, picante sauce, pecans, non-food items. So you may be able to sell these items at the market, but again, key is that participants can't use their SFMNP vouchers to purchase this. So they can purchase from their own money, but not the vouchers. And then if you are participating in the senior program, all of the items here are similar to WIC except for honey. So for the senior program, you may sell honey to the senior and get their vouchers reimbursed for this item alongside with all these other items. And then just like WIC, the disallowed foods are the ones listed here, such as flowers, jams, meat, pecans, nuts of any kind, eggs, etc. We do have these two lists posted on our Square Meals. So if you do have any questions on these specific items, please contact your contracting entity so you can get these lists and ensure you're selling eligible produce. Reminders for operating the SFMNP markets and roadside stands. So this is just some of the things that we see, and also some of this is just policies and regulations that are part of the program. So the contracting entity and the Farmers Market Association will certify eligible participants and issue their voucher sheets along with instructions on how to redeem them. So already before they are getting to you to purchase eligible produce, they already have their vouchers that are given by the CE and the FMA. So if you're a farmer, you don't have to worry about issuing the vouchers and also getting them redeemed. Participants will choose, so once they get their vouchers, the participants will then go and walk around the markets, and then they'll choose which produce they want to purchase, and then they'll use their SFMNP vouchers. We ask, and it is part of policy, that each farmer must display and clearly label prices for all of your eligible foods. And then for best practice, we are asking to use a pricing list, and I'll show you an example of what that looks like. And then other best practices that we've seen is to separate the ineligible produce and items and mark those items as non-SFMNP. So we talked about how there's allowable foods that you can sell for redemption and not allowable foods, right? It's not that you cannot sell the non-allowable. It's, again, you cannot redeem vouchers for those non-allowable. So it is on the participants' best interest to see what they can purchase and what they can't. That will make the market go smoother and quicker instead of it all being combined and commingled, because then they'll just be asking, is this eligible? And then they'll keep pointing at things. And sometimes there's so many people and you don't have the accessibility of having, volunteers or other farmers to help you out, and it's just you. So think about, again, the easiest way to get these vouchers redeemed and your items purchased. And then the last thing we encourage is to have the SMNP participants return to the markets if you still see them having unused vouchers. So many times, and again, in a few slides, we'll show you what that sheet and the vouchers look like. But many times the participant may walk around and say, you know what, I'll just come back to the market. Or maybe they'll utilize one of their vouchers and then they don't really know that they can come back to that market or other participating markets. So just we want to encourage redemption. We want to encourage them to return and just know that they can utilize these vouchers at a later time, depending on the dates of use. And this is a pricing list example that I saw on the internet. What we are seeing a lot when we're doing these administrative reviews and we're going out to the markets is that you guys are bundling up. Like you'll say these 3 baskets equals $6, which is a voucher, but you're verbally telling it to them. They don't see it in a paper. So again, best practice is to maybe create a quick on the computer or handwritten like your fruits and vegetables that you're selling. Sometimes also the participant doesn't know what the certain items that you're selling are, and then just the pricing of it. I think, again, utilizing some sort of pricing list will be more efficient and make the market go smoother and get those vouchers redeemed at your markets. These are examples of the voucher instructions that the contracting entity or the Farmers Market Association will give the participants. Many of these participants, this is their first time at a market, the first time going through this program. So they really don't know. When I go out there, I've seen them confused, like they get the vouchers and they're just walking around and looking around. So these instructions, if you want to utilize the ones TDA created, or if you want to utilize the CE created ones, anything that will assist them in understanding the program. But pretty much the key factors of the instructions is for WIC, that they know that they need to bring their WIC shopping list to get vouchers. The second is that they're going to receive these vouchers, total value of $30, and then the number of the value of each voucher. And then third step is that they're going to choose their produce. 4 is that they pay with their vouchers. And then 5 is that they should come back if they have any unused vouchers. And then very similar, the seniors must be eligible, like we talked about, depending on age, income guidelines. They complete an application, they receive their vouchers, and then process is the same as WIC. They go around the market, choose their eligible produce, they pay with their vouchers, and then they come back to the markets if they have any unused vouchers. Pretty easy concept. But again, like I said, I continuously see some individuals that are lost or don't understand the program. So if you all can encourage, that would be great. And then third, we're going into the voucher issuance. So the program itself begins February 1st. So this is the first day that any contracting entity or Farmers Market Association may issue these vouchers to participants, depending on their eligibility. And then the last day that these programs may issue the vouchers is through September 30th. Dates will always vary in Texas depending on your service area and your contracting entity. So we have South Texas that begins in February. They're growing produce throughout the year. Again, it just depends on their growing season versus we start seeing like Houston, San Antonio start their operations in March. And then most of our contracting entities, we start seeing them begin their operations around like May or June. But by June, everyone is already starting this program. So again, just depending on your growing season and when your contracting entity starts, that's when you'll start seeing the issuance of vouchers. But again, for the state of Texas, we start February 1st through September 30th. So after September 30th, no, the CE nor FMAs can issue any of these vouchers anymore. This is what the program year 25 vouchers are going to look like. Every single year, the color changes. This assist with you all to see if there's any expired vouchers being used. It's just very clear. I think last year they were yellow or orange, but this year it's hunter green. So for program 25, each eligible FMNP participant will receive a dark hunter green perforated sheet that contains 5 vouchers. So you see here it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vouchers at $6 each, and then the cover voucher that just says what the Farmers Market Nutrition Program is. Each sheet, the whole value itself is $30. And like I said, each of the vouchers, which are 5, they're $6 each. The farmer must enter their vendor ID number and or stamp in this area where it says vendor number here box. And then we want to ensure that every participant enters the date of redemption at the time of transaction. And then we no longer have participant signature line. So that has been removed. So very easy concept of the vouchers itself. Like this is the money that they're going to utilize. So they get a sheet at the beginning of the market. They go to a participating farmer stand, and then they'll decide if they want to purchase your produce with this. So let's say they are purchasing 3 baskets of apples at $6. Then they're going to give you 1 voucher. They're going to date that voucher. Let's say it's today that they want to purchase it, and today is March 25th. So they're going to date it March 25th. They're going to hand it over to you, and that's that transactional period. And then at that point, that is when you all should be stamping or writing down your vendor ID number. And that is a acceptable, redeemable voucher at that point. And then you will keep all of these vouchers in a bag, in a box, which we'll talk about security later on, but you'll keep all of this. And at the end of the market or the week or the month, you will hand all of that over to your Farmers Market Association. And then your Farmers Market Association will hand that over to the contracting entity for you guys to get paid by us. So that's the whole cycle of this sheet, which again, we'll go into details later on. Just a quick FYI for your information. This year for the FMNP vouchers, there was a little typo. So we are just trying to tell everyone that, or advising everyone that there are small typos on the FMNP voucher, which is the hunter green one that we just saw. While the errors do not impact the voucher usage, we kindly ask you to disregard it. So basically it just says SFMNP instead of Farmers Market Nutrition Program. So it just includes an S where it should just say FMNP in these 2 areas here. The program name listed in the top left corner of each voucher is accurate and reflects the intended use and correct information. So the CE will provide the FMNP. We created a 1-pager of this voucher typo form, and we ask that the markets display this, and then also this form is provided to each voucher sheet at the time of issuance for the participant. So very small typo again. It's not going to impact your redemption at all or the program. And then as you can see here, really quick, the voucher itself also has a redemption date. So it tells you through when the participant can utilize this. So if you ever question the color, if you forget that hunter green is this year's voucher sheet, you can look at the date. And it will also tell you, okay, this is for this specific program. If you see program year 23, 22, 24, you know that it is an expired voucher and they no longer can utilize this for redemption. So at that point, I would just let them know that this was for last year and to communicate with the market manager or the contracting entity, the staff that's there to assist them to give them the new voucher sheet for this year. For the senior program, for program year 25, the color for this year is a turquoise blue. So just like the WIC Farmers Market program, they are going to receive a sheet. That sheet has 5 vouchers and then that 1 cover sheet. And for the senior side, currently we are operating through a ARPA grant. And with this ARPA grant, we were able to increase the value of the sheet itself. So originally the voucher sheet for seniors is $20. So for the past 3 years, it's been $50 at $10 a voucher sheet. This is the last year that we are operating the ARPA grant. So next year, which is program year 26, the value will return to the $20, which is $4 per voucher. Just like the WIC FMNP, the farmer must enter their vendor ID number and or stamp in the respective box where the arrow is at. And then just like the WIC FMNP, the participant will enter their date of redemption at the time of transaction in this specified line item. And then the redemption dates are also on this voucher. So if you ever have a question on the validity or if it's the current year, you can see it on this voucher itself. And then on the voucher, it just has some quick little reminders that the voucher is good for the purchase of the fresh, nutritious, unprepared, locally grown vegetables and fruits. It is not valid to be redeemed at grocery stores, and it must be paid to the authorized farmers market vendor. Voucher issuance. So the way that we issue these sheets out to the contracting entity, because that's who we send them to, we allocate. So for program year 25, we printed out 100,000 vouchers, which equates to 20,000 sheets, which means that 20,000 eligible WIC participants may be able to utilize this benefit in the state of Texas. We determine that allocation and the number of voucher sheets that will go to each CE. Once we identify that, then we communicate these amounts to every CE. So within 20,000 sheets, we have to allocate a portion of that to all of our 9 participating contracting entities. We look at past performances. So if we see an increase of performance and a contracting entity is asking if they could get more, and if there's another contracting entity that we saw decreased in the issuance and redemption, then that's where we start reallocating and reevaluating. But that is what we look at, is again performance based. So if you want to increase and get more vouchers for your service area, please make sure that issuance and redemption number increases. Voucher redistribution is also allowed and occurs during the last half of the program year. And this is if a CE, if I allocated to them, let's say 5,000 sheets and they were only able to utilize 2,000, they're going to contact me and say, hey, Christina, I can't utilize these 3,000 anymore. Do you think someone else can utilize them? So I will send an email to our other contracting entities and I will say, hey, there's 3,000 available. If another contracting entity says I can utilize that, then there's a transfer that occurs between the 2 contracting entities. So there's always availability in the case a contracting entity just couldn't issue out those vouchers. So Michelle and I throughout the program year are looking at these issuance numbers and redemption numbers so that these 20,000 sheets don't go unused, right? Because it's a great benefit to the state of Texas. And then just more clear guidelines on the eligibility for WIC and the seniors. So WIC participants, the eligible criteria for them is that they must provide a proof of a WIC shopping list. It could be electronic or paper. So if you want to do outreach for these programs, this is a quick way to just say, all you need to bring to the market is your shopping list, and then you'll get these vouchers. So eligible participants for WIC are WIC pregnant, breastfeeding, postpartum women who have children ages 1 to 5 years, and then infants over 4 months. Voucher distribution, 1 FMNP sheet is available to each eligible participant in the household. It is distributed annually on a first come, first serve basis. So let's say there is a WIC pregnant mom that has 1 child at 2 years old and then 1 infant at 5 months. So this household, which we call it, would receive 3 sheets with a value of $30 each. So that is going to be $90 worth of vouchers that this WIC household member can utilize at your markets throughout this 1 year. So remember, it's only accessible in and used one in this specific year. Once the program year is over, they can no longer use those vouchers. And then we would have to issue out the new voucher sheets to them. We do not allow dual participation, and therefore we request that every contracting entity or farmers market association manager that is issuing out the vouchers completes a voucher issuance log, which will give you an example of what that looks like. So dual participation just means that WIC participant or household, once they utilize that example I gave you, the $90 vouchers, they cannot come back and get another $90 worth of vouchers. So they just get three. That one specific household would get those three. Once they utilize it, that's it. They would have to wait till next year for those benefits to get to participate in the program again. We do allow proxies. They would just have to list these proxies under the voucher issuance log, and then we'll go into what a proxy is in the next slide. For the senior program, the eligibility requirements is that they have to complete an application annually. We already talked about that they have to be 60 years of age, they must meet income guidelines, and they must show proof of identification and reside within the contracting entity service area. So the senior program has more criteria and specifics versus the WIC participants, because for WIC, they're already getting their eligibility at the WIC clinic. So that's why they just show their proof that they're of the shopping list that shows they are part of the WIC program. For the senior side, same as WIC participants, they will only receive one SFMNP sheet per eligible household, and it's distributed annually on a first come, first serve basis. So if it's a couple, if it's a senior wife and senior husband, and they both meet the age, income guidelines, show proof of ID, and they reside in the service area, they both will complete the application, and each of them will receive the one voucher sheet each. We also allow proxies with this program, but they must be designated in writing via the application or a signed statement by the participant. This is an example of what a WIC shopping list looks like, paper versus electronic. So the CE or the individual that they are training or designating to issue out vouchers will provide more information on how to read these two shopping lists accordingly to ensure that they are seeing how many sheets and how many eligible household members are on these shopping lists. And then moving on to just the voucher issuance instructions and one-pagers that Michelle and I have seen. This is an example of San Antonio Food Bank's one-pager. I think it's great because it has the location, information on who's eligible. This contracting entity has the WIC program and also the senior program. So it talks about how they're both eligible, and then the allowed foods, and then their participant rights and responsibilities. At the time of issuing vouchers to the participants, they must, and this is policy, they must receive instructions on how to redeem vouchers to include. So for WIC and seniors, they must be handed a sheet with all the locations and hours of operations for participating farmers markets and roadside stands. So just like the picture here, the San Antonio Food Banks, they have that information. List of participating farmers, farmers markets, and roadside stands where vouchers may be redeemed, description of eligible foods, description statement that prohibition of cash exchange for vouchers. They must discuss complaint procedures, and then procedures to designate a proxy. So it's a lot of information. Not all of that has to fit in one page. So we do see a packet sometimes being given to the participants. That's allowable. But again, this is a great one-pager that has most of the information that must be provided to the participants. For the seniors only, they have to be given a participant rights and responsibilities form, and this is part of their application, and that must be read or shall be read or read to the participants at the time of issuing vouchers. And then just furthermore, for the FMNP eligibility determinations, so the CEs or site staff must determine an applicant's status after they complete the application as eligible, and on a wait list, or ineligible at the time of application or within 15 days after completing the application. So either if, for example, one senior came to this farmer's market and was interested in receiving benefits, but they completed the application and their birthday states that they're only 55 years old at that moment, then they would be deemed ineligible and be given that ineligibility status. If they are placed on a waiting list, this means that there's not enough vouchers. So let's say if I allocated 200 sheets to the contracting entity and they've already given out the 200 and now they have the 201st person that is at the market, they would just write down the information of the applicant's name, address, phone number, and date placed on the waiting list. So in the case there is a redistribution of vouchers and they've received more than that person on the waiting list, the first person, it should be by the first come, first serve. So they would choose that first person, contact them, and let them know that there are more vouchers available and they can come to the nearest market. Applicants must be notified again in writing if they do not meet eligibility criteria, and they are given a right to a fair hearing, information and details. And the form itself is called H 1430. The proxy, so we talked about that proxies are allowable with the both programs. So what a proxy is basically a person that's designated by the participant to act on their behalf throughout the whole FMNP process. So the responsibilities of a proxy may be they may apply for certification, receive and redeem FMNP vouchers at authorized farmers markets and or roadside stands, and they can designate a proxy at any time. Just as long as, like for the senior side, it is written on their application or a signed statement, and for WIC that it is provided and written down on the voucher log. For example, let's say I'm a pregnant mom and I can't get to the market, so I'm going to designate my partner, my husband, as my proxy designee. So now my husband is able to go to the market and purchase produce on my behalf, and that's allowed. So if you ever see a man that is using these vouchers, you're going to say, well, wait, we just were told that the WIC eligibility are these mothers, right? So why is this man utilizing it? Well, this is the reason why, because they're designating a proxy. For seniors, as we know, sometimes transportation is a burden. They can't drive, or they have a doctor's appointment, they get sick. So they may designate a neighbor, a friend, or a family member to utilize these vouchers. So again, same thing. If you see a young person giving you a senior voucher, it could be because they are that designated proxy for that individual. This is the voucher log that is going to be used. We created an electronic spreadsheet, but the contracting entity or farmers market manager may create their own, just as long as it has an area where you can put the CE name, program, the market site name, the participant name, proxy name. You include what the category is of that participant, the voucher serial numbers, staff initials, and then other contract information, and then the date vouchers were issued. So the one we created that is accessible on Square Meals, it has a drop down and it just gives you all of the categories and also includes seniors. So for WIC, it's pregnant, breastfeeding, postpartum, infant, 4 months and older, children 1 year through 5 years, and then that's senior. The CE and FMA must ensure voucher sheet serial numbers are recorded on the log. So when the voucher sheet is, we talked about that cover voucher that is amongst the 5 vouchers with the values, that will have a serial number. So that serial number is recorded. So let's say I am participant number 1, there is a designated serial number. Let's say it is from 01 through 05. In the case I lose that voucher, then that contracting entity can see if anyone was to redeem these serial numbers at a participating farmers market, they'll know that this is a lost voucher sheet that belonged to this participant. So it's very important that you record those voucher sheets that belong to each sheet that is given to the participant. So there is a specified voucher serial number per sheet. And then we want to make sure that we're protecting participant confidentiality. So we're not releasing this information to anyone else. We're not releasing it to other participants or programs. Record keeping and compliance. So these voucher logs are reviewed during our administrative reviews, and we utilize this for data collection. So we will ask for reports throughout the year of how many participants were issued vouchers and their categories, and this is the best way to record all of that. If you want to create your own log, it just must meet minimum federal criteria, and the minimum federal criteria is what is listed on this voucher sheet. So there is voucher management and security processes that we ask the contracting entities to write up. And so if you ever have a question on your contracting entities' processes, on how they would like or how your program operates in their service area, you may ask them to provide this to you. But some of the information that must be in these processes, specifically for voucher management security, is the responsibility. So again, CEs, FMAs, and farmers are responsible for the management and security of vouchers throughout the program year. So the process is clearly going to state that if there's anything that happens to those vouchers, then these are the individuals that are or could be held responsible for them. There is a security protocol to these vouchers. So at all times, vouchers are kept in a secure place at the CE location during transfers to markets, throughout the market hours, and then after redemption. And the process also should state who they're delegating the task of issuing vouchers. So CEs may delegate voucher management and distribution responsibilities to farmers market associations. And that's why we're going through all these steps in the case you are delegated that role. They must prevent conflict of interest. So if you are a farmer that's selling your own produce and you are redeeming vouchers, you may not be the best person to issue or have that delegation of issuing vouchers because there's a conflict of interest there. And then in the case that there is any delegation, there must be training that is involved. So again, more of the process itself. Prior to issuance, receipt, storage, and security of vouchers at the CE location must be specifically stated in that process. And the process should also include how voucher booklets or sheets will be securely packaged to prevent tampering or damage. Throughout the transportation process, vouchers will be transported using secure methods such as locked containers or sealed bags to maintain their security throughout the transfer process. Only authorized personnel and staff will handle the voucher transportation. Issuance procedures. So the process should also talk about how there will be security measures and guidelines that will be followed for voucher sheet distribution at the site and market. Vouchers will be distributed following a defined procedure, which includes verifying participant eligibility prior to issuance, and then record keeping. So there should always be a sign-in sheet, voucher log, or electronic tracking system that is utilized and monitored throughout the voucher issuance. This will help identify and resolve any types of issues with discrepancies, losses, or misuse of those related voucher distributions. Like we talked about, every voucher has a specific serial number. So if someone steals it, if it gets lost, or if it gets misused, it is easy to track who those voucher sheets got issued to. And now moving on, Michelle.
Thank you, Christina. Our next topic is voucher redemption. So February the 1st is the first day CEs, FMAs may redeem their vouchers at qualifying farmers market. October the 31st is the last day the CE and FMA may redeem vouchers at qualifying farmers markets. Note the dates may vary depending on each CE service area. As Christina mentioned, we currently have 2 CEs that have already launched the farmers market, and we have additional CE starting soon.
And here the difference is, right, the voucher issuance of we can issue vouchers through September 30th, and this is redeeming. So the redemption, the difference is that they can use these and purchase eligible produce through October 31st.
So we want to engage with our participants. We want to build relationships with the participants and provide them with information about the program. That includes the hours of operations, as we discussed earlier, letting them know what, providing clear pricing for the participants so it's easy for them to know how much they're able to purchase, and also what the allowable foods that they're allowed to purchase as well. So making that information available to our participants, again, makes the process more efficient for them. Know your products. So we want you to verify that the foods being purchased within the program are eligible produce that is on the allowable list. Ensure all products are clearly labeled, helping the customers make informed purchasing decisions, such as labeling by the produce name, the prices, and if they're eligible or non-eligible. And then we want to follow the market and program policies. So check voucher program year and color. As we stated, it's going to be a dark hunter green. If it's any color other than the dark hunter green and the turquoise that we talked about, then this would be an indication that these are outdated or expired vouchers and that should not be used. Make sure that you enter your vendor ID number and ensure the date of transaction is on this voucher in order for this voucher to be completed and able to redeem. Couple of reminders when it comes to pricing. Keep in mind that for pricing, you must not charge more to for the farmers market participants than to non-farmers market participants for the same food items. For example, if you're selling strawberries and you have a price for non-participants at $4, but for the farmers market participants, it's priced at $7. You want to make sure that if you're selling the same identical products, that you're charging the same, you're giving them the same pricing. Voucher redemption value. Do not redeem the program vouchers for less than their full value. For example, if you're selling a basket of strawberries at $5 and for the farmers market, the voucher value is at $6, then you're not able to sell that produce for that particular price because it's less than the value of that voucher. So it has to be equal or more in order to redeem that voucher. Cash transactions. Do not provide cash, change, or require cash to be paid to eligible produce. For any unredeemed or lost vouchers, do not seek restitution, do not bill or attempt to collect payment for lost or unredeemed vouchers. And again, please report to your CE of any misuse or lost vouchers that have been identified. Sale tax. You must not charge sale tax to the farmer's produce being purchased. A couple of reminders as you're looking at your vendor vouchers. Look for missing information such as the vendor identification number that we talked about earlier. That vendor identification number comes from your FMA or the CE, and that must be on the vendor, on the voucher at the time of the transaction. Also, Look for any missing, redeemed, sale, or date information. Again, that information must be included as well. And then also verify and check for the dates of use, making sure that vouchers are not past the October 31st due date for redemption. And also any forged or altered from another program year, as we talked about, looking at the dates on that voucher, and then the color coding as well would also help identify if vouchers are trying to be submitted from a previous program year. We do know that within the farmers market, there's other programs that's operating at the time, and so want to make sure that you're only selecting the farmers market vouchers and not taking any other vouchers from other programs, such as from the city or the federal program that may also have a separate program aside from the farmers market. And then any lost or stolen vouchers as well. Again, make sure that we're tracking that information and we're reporting that to the CE. So voucher redemption processes, the CE must establish and maintain written procedures for the reconciliation and redemption of vouchers. TDA will review the CE's procedures for adequacy to ensure they cover at a minimum lost or stolen vouchers through tracking systems, processes for expired vouchers by comparing issue and expiration dates, and keep in mind too, the CE should be making the farmers and FMAs aware of these processes and what to do in case these any of these situations were to occur. Inconsistencies with issuance log or redemption list by cross-referencing voucher details. Error reduction in transaction. So there should be a process for handling redeemed vouchers that cannot be traced back to a record of issuance. There should be a process for disposing of vouchers that were not issued and or redeemed. And there should be a process for voucher redemption. Again, providing training and guidance to staff will help ensure proper handling and processing of vouchers. Continuing handling redeemed vouchers without issuance records. In this case, there should be a process with investigating the discrepancy, checking for errors in the issuance system log that we talked about, the voucher issuance log for use for tracking, and then also contact participants or farmers to clarify voucher details. So there will be times where there needs to be a little bit further investigation where the farmers may be contacted just to get a little bit more clarity on or details during the investigation to checking vouchers for any discrepancies and identifying any errors. Mark the voucher as invalid if no issuance record can be located. Again, if there's no supporting proof and there's no record to show vouchers been issued for that particular participant, then it will be invalid and cannot be used to be redeemed. When it comes to disposing of invalid or unused vouchers at the end of the program year, there will be vouchers that may be left over that wasn't issued or given out during the program year. And so in that case, TDA will communicate to the CEs as to how to dispose and when to dispose those vouchers. We ask that you do not dispose or get rid of those vouchers until TDA has communicated and shared that information with the CEs with instructions on how to proceed with that. CEs, So again, as we stated, TD will communicate those instructions on how to dispose those vouchers. Our next topic is training and monitoring. So as we stated, it's mandatory for CEs to attend the farmers markets training. TDA conducts an annual training for participating farmers market CEs who are participating in the program. Annual training. CEs will annually conduct the trainings for their staff, FMAs, and farmers on required topics. Any new CE, FMA, or farmer participating in their first year must complete their training through TDA. And also keep in mind that you must have proof of documentation that you have completed the training by completing a training sign-in sheet. And trainings can be interactive, it can be face-to-face, via Teams or Zoom meetings. What training topics are required? So TDA do have required training topics that must be covered prior to starting the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. Training topics include identification of eligible foods. We already talked about where to find the allowable produce items, which can be found in Square Meals on the resource page. Other training topics: proper voucher redemption procedures, including deadlines for submission of vouchers, equal treatment of participants, because we interact with customers, and so we want to make sure that we're being fair and equally treating customers. Voucher security, storage, and distribution. We talked about that vouchers must be stored and secured at all times, even when transporting from the CE to the farmers market. It must be locked, sealed, or whatever method to ensure that these vouchers remain secure. There should be training on voucher cancellation procedures, civil rights, and complaints and grievance process. Also, record keeping. We do require CEs to retain their records on file for 3 years, such as your voucher issuance log. Those records must be retained for 3 years. Your redeemed vouchers are also considered records and must be retained for 3 years. Just a quick update with the civil rights complaint process. TDA has updated the civil rights complaint process as stated in the handbook section 6000. So here there have been language that have been removed that was once in parentheses, and that language has been updated. And so you can find the update of the civil rights complaints process again in Square Meals in section 6000 of the handbook. We ask that you do just verify that your documents that you public information that you issue out to your participants, that you update your NDS, that you communicate the complaint process to the participants, and also just making sure that they're aware of the updated information that has been shared by TDA. Monitoring. So again, the Code of Federal Regulation requires sites to be monitored. CEs must conduct an on-site review of a minimum of 10% of farmers, 10% of farmers market, and this is to include highest risk farmers and markets. The CE develops a tool to identify high-risk farmers and markets. CE reviews these markets and farmers in its respective program year. So what defines a high-risk indicator? If there's a participant, a farmer's market with a high volume of farmer's market voucher redemptions, that would be considered a high risk indicator. If they're a participant that have made a complaint towards a particular farmer's market, that would also be considered a high risk indicator. And if it's the first year of participation for the farmer or FMA, then this would be a high risk indicator that will be required to be reviewed. So here's a tool that is used to conduct a farmers market review. The CE will utilize the monitoring tool to ensure policies are being followed, such as making sure that locally fresh grown products are being sold, make sure that there's no discrepancy or issues with voucher redemptions, looking at the storage and security of the vouchers. You're looking at the operations of the program, looking for the posters and signage as we talked about, just ensuring that the areas are in compliance and following the regulations. Any non-compliant issue that may have been identified, then this would need to be noted on the form, and then a corrective action must be conducted as well. During this review, at that time, there may be a secret shopper, compliant buys, or test buys may also be performed to make sure vendors are observing all regulations regarding to sales to the farmer market participants. And so this form right here, if you look in the top left, if you go back real quick, Christine, I just want to, just share that with the form. There's an interview section that will need to be completed. So it basically just providing a summary or interview with the recipients, and that section will be completed. And then the last section is the findings and corrective action. If there's any findings that have been identified, then this is where that must be notated and followed up on. So as we stated, once a site has been monitored, and if there are any areas of non-compliance, this will be referred to as infractions, and these infractions are based on a point system. So if the market and/or farmer reaches a certain amount of points, such as 15 points, the CE may be sanctioned or disqualified from the program. So if you look at these three selections, for example, if doing a monitoring review and it was identified that a farmer market was charging farmers participants more than other non-participants, then they would be sanctioned with 5 points. And if another review has occurred and it was identified that the farmer was requiring cash to be paid by the program participant in addition to the voucher, then that's additional 5 points. So that's a total of 10 points. And maybe on another visit, there was some falsification of information on a voucher, maybe forged information, and that voucher was redeemed, then that's another 5 points. So if you add that up, that's a total of 15 points, and that as a result will lead to disqualification for 1 year of the program. As I stated, the CE may disqualify any farmer or farmers market from participation in the program if the infraction score reaches 15 or more points. If the total number reaches 15, then the participants of the farmers market will be disqualified for 1 year, and they may not accept vouchers from the current program year. If there's accumulation of 20 points, then the disqualification period goes up to 2 years. And at that time, the farmers market may not accept vouchers from the current program year and the next program year. If there's infraction of a sanction of 25 points, then the disqualification period goes to 3 years. And at that, the farmer or FMA may not accept vouchers from the current program year, the next program year, and the program year afterwards. So as we stated, the CEs must develop and follow written monitoring procedures that describe how the CE will monitor the farmers market and farmers and administer sanctions when infractions are found. Again, monitoring and evaluation includes development of a review schedule that uses high-risk factors, conducting compliance buys, sanctioning, providing corrective actions, any written notice, and appeals. Okay. Next, we're going to look at our performance of issuance and redemption. If you look at this chart here, the blue bar represents the voucher issuance, and the orange bar represents the redemption. So we look at program year 24. We see that we were at 68% compared to program year 23. So we actually had a increase of 2% in redemption. So I want to commend you all for doing a great job this previous program year. Out of 100,000 vouchers printed, if you look here, you see we were at 89,130 vouchers that were issued. Out of the 89,130 vouchers issued, we had 60,760 vouchers that were redeemed. So by you, again, reminding those participants to come back, if you notice they have not used all of their vouchers, and reminding them to come back to redeem their vouchers, again, you'll see that growth and increase of participation. And so just want to, again, thank you all for doing a great job on this previous program year with that. And that was for so for seniors farmers market, for the program year 24, we were at 83% compared to last program year. We were at 88%, so we had a slight dip by 5% in redemption. Out of the 45,250 printed vouchers, 37,620 vouchers were issued. Out of the 37,620 vouchers issued, 31,380 vouchers were redeemed. So we had a little slight dip compared to the previous year. And so this is what we continue to monitor, the issuance and redemptions, because this is information that we also utilize in reporting with the state, from the state agency. We share that information out with USDA. Updates and reminders. So we conducted an end of the year survey to gather feedback on the program. Participants, farmers, proxies, and FMAs all took part in this survey. To participate, users could scan the QR code or on their phone, or click the provided link to complete the 10-question survey. For program year 25, we received feedback suggesting this survey be made available year-round. And so we'll go in a little bit more details, and we'll talk about some of the great feedback that we received from all of you.
So really quick, I just wanted to highlight, I know we're almost short with time, so I'll go through this pretty quick, and we can send you a copy of these results to you as well. Let me just move the PowerPoint. Okay. So for program year 24, there was 86 responses in total. It was open for 126 days, and then the average time to complete the survey was 4 minutes and 49 seconds. And from our contracting entities, this is how many people responded. So the most responses that we received is from Grow North Texas and Dallas and Denton. The least responses we've received was in Sustainable Food Center, which is in Austin and West Texas, City of Abilene, and Tyler and Hope. So we are hoping to create this PY25 survey and allow participants and to go through that throughout the program year. So that's the only difference, that we hope to get this survey out earlier than last year, hopefully to get more feedback. As you could see, this is the percentages of participants that provided feedback. So there was WIC proxies, senior participants, and then a big chunk of the feedback was from WIC participants, market staff, and a big chunk of feedback was from farmers at 74%. So there's a huge suggestions for outreach on how to communicate about these programs. So the participants and farmers are talking to contracting entities saying, please provide more flyers and printed materials, go to key locations that, such as grocery stores, WIC clinics, senior centers, not just the markets, reach a broader audience, partner with local centers to target those specific groups, go to social media, create websites, talk about and provide information on the programs, market locations and hours, go to the radio, TV, provide news segments, anything that will allow these participants or potential eligible participants to talk about what these programs are. So they are stating that the best places to distribute or issue the vouchers are at senior centers and WIC clinics. Farmers markets are considered successful because of the ability to shop immediately thereafter, and then just partnering with food banks, local schools, libraries, and clinics, and also provide door-to-door outreach. And again, just kind of the number of how these participants were made aware of these programs. So a huge number is coming from the WIC offices, farmers markets, word of mouth, human and health department, senior centers, and TV and print media. These were the top favorite fruits, least favorite vegetables, and then top favorite vegetables. So strawberries, peaches, watermelon, and tomatoes were voted for top favorite fruits. Top favorite vegetables are peppers, potatoes, okra, onions, and squash. And then some of these top favorite vegetables were also on the least favorite vegetables list. So pepper, squash, okra, eggplant, potatoes were listed there as well, which we found interesting. And then there's a lot of market challenges that we wanted to provide to you. Again, this is feedback from people at your markets, the farmers. There were challenges with transportation to markets, limited produce selection, market hours, and market selling out of items. So just feedback, transportation to market. It could be that they were working during the market hours, or they were at school, or they were getting their kids ready, so they weren't able to get to the market. They don't have a vehicle, they're seniors, they don't have accessibility to any type of bus. There's no bus transit in the community that they're aware of, so they weren't able to get to the market. They knew about the program, but they just couldn't get to the market. And then they talked about market hours and locations. So some market hours were too early in the day. It was not long enough. So maybe it was just like a 1 to 2 hour time frame that the market was open, or it was also in an inconvenient location. So the location wasn't close enough to where they live or where they work. And they stated that there's not enough locations as well. And then produce selection. So there was a request for more variety of fruits. Produce is selling out quickly, and then farmers not knowing how to bundle or price produce effectively for voucher redemption, which is that example I gave you of providing a produce list this year. And then just other voucher redemption feedback, more redemption when distributed at markets. So if you are issuing your vouchers at a WIC clinic, then those participants may not have access to the market, so they don't go to that market to redeem their vouchers. But if you issue your vouchers at the market, then you're going to see more of an increase of redemption when it's done there, because easily they can just go and walk a few steps and purchase produce. They don't have to get to a car and now go find your location. They see a higher redemption during peak seasons. Pricing is not aligned with voucher amounts. So again, confusing to the participant. They don't know how to redeem that voucher because pricing they don't understand that. They don't want to spend all of their vouchers at once. So some of these participants are hoarding them till the end of the year, and then they forget. So that's where we want to remind them that it's a short period of months that produce is accessible and this program is accessible to them. They find that markets are too busy or not able to attend due to the hours, and then the new participants are unsure of how to use the vouchers, which we talked about informing them via instructions, giving them one pagers, being friendly, being approachable, talking about the program itself throughout their market experience. And then just customer service and communication that they provided to us. Customer service, the person in charge at the market was rude and aggressive. Signs at each station that accept vouchers weren't there, so they did not know that they were participating markets. And then the market reminders were being given the day of instead of like prior days. And they're asking for being reminded maybe a week, or providing them like market locations and the hours and times. So the conclusion of all of this is perception of customer service and sign visibilities are very important to get these participants to purchase your product. General comments, everything is good. There's no challenges, multiple mentions of no or none, and then everything was explained well or appreciated for nutritional information. So great feedback. Again, we can provide this to you so you can go through it. And then Michelle. I don't know, Michelle's there, but.
Yeah, I just dropped some updates into the chat, the contact for FMA certification and the dot form link as well for you all. Just some handbook updates. So there have been updates to the Senior Farmers Market and Nutrition handbook. So please make sure you look at that. We talked about the update of the complaint process. Any information that is that has been updated is highlighted in yellow for you. Also, keep in mind we talked about the update to on the previous call. So just make sure that you can check the handbook for those updates. Farmers Market Review Tool, there has been an update with that. Recipes, we've updated recipes as well. You can find that in Square Meals. And other resources are available to you on squaremeals.org that you can utilize to help with the Farmers Market program. Also, the Farmers Market map is also on Square Meals to see all the CEs that are participating and Senior Farmers Market that are participating in the program is available for you as well. A couple of reminders. So the first day, vouchers may be issued to participants and redeemed at the farmers market or roadside stands is February the 1st. The last day vouchers may be issued to participants is September the 30th. The last day participants may redeem vouchers at farmers market or roadside stands is October the 31st. The last day farmers submit redeemed vouchers to FMA is November the 15th. And the last day for FMA to submit their redeemed vouchers to the CEs is November the 30th. So please just make sure that you are checking and getting those vouchers in by that deadline. And the last day for CEs to submit their claim for reimbursement to TDA is December the 15th. Other reminders, just reach out to your WIC clinics and senior centers for any support or assistance that you may need for outreach and advertise the programs. Make sure that you are looking at ways to communicate and share the programs to others, looking at being very creative and looking at their approach and what worked for you last year and tapping into other opportunities to make the program awareness to others. Also create pop-up markets to help with the participation and redemption of the vouchers. Remind participants to redeem their vouchers or return to participating markets. And ensure the website information is current for farmers' locations and hours of operations, because this is typically the first place where participants will go to as they're looking for farmers market locations. So just make sure that information is up to date. Okay. We'll now open it up for any questions that you may have at this time. Feel free to raise your hand or place it in a chat.
Okay, I'm going to go through to see if there's any questions. To Cora Smith, what did we do different to achieve 93% redemption? I believe that was during the COVID months, so there was less issuance of vouchers, and I feel like that's what, and I can go back to the slide to show you. Let me share. Not sharing, right? Okay, it's not sharing, but it basically, I feel like it was that we just issued less, and when you issue less, there's more, like the vouchers, you're able to redeem those. Let me see if I can get, here it is. So you could see the big dip of issuance for these 93 percentiles. So the more you issue, it's like the more people that you're trying to get to come back to your markets and redeem. So there, it just depends. So like even the previous year, we had less issuance, more redemption. But then this year we had more issuance, and then the redemption just dipped a little. So that's the reason why. Jenny, yes. So this is recorded and will be sent to you hopefully by the end of this week, if not next week. Any other questions? Everything's understood. Well, we really appreciate everything that you do. Without you, we don't have a program. Again, just come through the feedback. I think that's going to help you guys. We go out there, we see a lot going on. I think those pop-up markets are going to help. Some contracting entities only have one location. So maybe if you're interested and are able to create another market that these participants are saying, like closer to the WIC clinic, closer to where their population lives, that can help. So the CEs also can only do this if you guys, if they have support from you all. So anything that comes up, any questions, please just notify your contracting entity. We are here for you, and anything we can do just to get this program going. But we are excited, and we hope to see you out there for this year. Thank you all.